is new Auburn quarterback Payton Thorne adjusting to Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery's offense? We hear from him directly on today's Locked On Auburn.
Freezing temperatures are likely for several hours inland and a few hours closer to the coast.
Yes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Very special guest joining us today. We'll get into it. It's Auburn quarterback Payton Thorne. Payton, thank you for your time, man. Really, really appreciate it. So you left a pretty good situation, a Michigan State multiple-year starter to come and play for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. I mean, you had to kind of see a really cool situation as far as what Freeze was pitching once you entered the portal. What did that conversation initially look like?
Yeah, when I came down on my visit to Auburn, I was actually on my way back from my best friend, or one of my very best friend, his draft party, Jaden Reed. He just got drafted to the Packers, and so it was a stop along the way, and I was here pretty much all day. Got to meet a lot of the coaches, Coach Montgomery, obviously Coach Freeze, and we had a lot of time to talk and a lot of time to meet, and it was all great stuff. And just listening, the more time that me and my dad spent at Auburn, the more, the better it got. So it was awesome talking with Coach Freeze and just learning about his philosophy as a head coach, his philosophy as an offensive coach, and just how he runs his program, and then also how he runs his offense. It was all great.
I mean, he's had a lot of success with quarterbacks, Payton. I mean, there's no other way to really shake it. I mean, I'm sure that was a big part of your decision, is to play for Coach Freeze and based off of what he's done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at his track record with quarterbacks and then also pairing that with Coach Montgomery's quarterbacks that he's worked with, that was very intriguing, and it's great to look at, and it's great to learn from, and to be with those two guys that have been around and developed really good quarterbacks. It's definitely something that you can trust. Obviously, you can trust them and what information they have and what they're giving, and I'm just looking to soak it all up of what they're displaying to me and what they have to say to me, and I'm really excited to really get going with them once this summer progresses.
Yeah, so I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, y'all can't do team stuff or anything like that, but I assume you're all in that playbook. I mean, it seems like scheme and X's and O's is something that you're really interested in as a quarterback. What's that process been like as far as just getting into the playbook? And, you kind of got to wait till fall till you can really, really run it.
Yeah, it's been good. I got the whole playbook when I got here. Got all the installs, and so just going through it and trying to get very familiar with it and be able to draw up the plays is the first step, I believe.
Okay.
And then once you're able to draw everything up and draw the formations and all the motions and all that, then you can take a deeper dive into that and really figure out the details of each play and the little things that being in an offense for 3 years like I was, you pick up on stuff over that course of time. And right. So that's why people talk about, quarterbacks that have experience in an offense. There's stuff you learn. And so right now I'm just trying to bang out the X's and O's of draw the plays. And then after that, now you take a deeper dive into the fine details of each play and then watching as much film as I can to pick up on things that, I'd pick up after a year or two or three of running this offense, and so I do have experience of playing, and so there's definitely some carryover to one offense to another, and that's kind of pretty much anywhere. And so I'm going to bring the things that, I've learned that apply to our playbook too, and then, try to have that, speed things up a little bit. But, it's going well so far. It's been great. I've gotten to meet with the coaches a decent amount.
Sure.
And, feel like I've already learned a lot.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I mean, it seems like there's going to be more RPO in this system than what you ran previously. Is that something that excites you, or is that just kind of a fan term that we all kind of throw around and that's kind of overblown?
Yeah, there's definitely an element of fans and commentators calling everything an RPO, even though a lot of the times it's not. So
I love that.
but yeah, that is a big part of this offense with Coach Freeze and Coach Montgomery. So I am excited about that. I feel like that's one of the strengths of my game, and obviously I'm looking to improve it as time goes on as well.
Sure.
But just learning the ins and out of our run game here, and then obviously that is part of RPO is how we block things, and so most of it is stuff that I've done in terms of the the run game. There's definitely different wrinkles that I'm learning, and I really want to get sharp with. But then just the RPO stuff, and us figuring out who we're reading, who we got our eyes on, what our rules are for when we're going to decide to go ahead and pull it, when we're giving it, all that stuff is all stuff that I'll be learning here shortly, and stuff that I already have started learning with Coach.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously the transfer portal has changed college athletics for forever. I think for the good. But the timing of year that you and a lot of now your teammates came in with that second transfer portal window is kind of interesting, right? Because spring's behind you, and now fall is usually when you start kind of installing stuff for the season. But a lot of the guys that we're projecting that you're going to be throwing a lot of passes to, with Hooks and Jair Shorter and, some of these other guys that came in, like they're coming in the same time as you. So what are those conversations like? Do you guys feel a little pressure to throw a little bit more against air and kind of go over routes a little bit more? What all does that look like?
Yeah, I'm really just trying to throw with everybody right now.
Yeah, sure.
With all the receivers and obviously the new guys, same thing. And meeting with those guys and the new guys and the guys that have been here. There's a couple guys that haven't been here for long either, but they've been here longer than I have, and the new receivers. So really just working all together and trying to figure out who likes what, what type of routes this guy's gonna be running versus this guy. All that stuff is stuff you learn, or you try to learn as quick as possible. And so I feel like I'm working differently with different guys on certain things, but I feel like we're all working to really get that timing down, really get familiar with each other, and how a receiver likes to break out his routes, how he likes to catch a deep ball, where he wants it put down there, and then just kind of working all that different stuff, with guys with different speeds. And so for me, everybody's new. I haven't thrown with anybody, so
good point. Yeah.
I feel like for me, I'm treating all of them pretty similar. It's kind of indifferent for me.
Yeah. I mean, how different is each receiver? And I'm sure it varies from place to place and all of that. But I mean, you mentioned a lot of little details that I'm sure most people don't even think about, right? Like when do they want it? Where do they want it? How do they come out of breaking out of their route? I mean, how different are all of these guys? And is that kind of something where you're constantly working on mental notes? It's like, okay, this guy likes this, I'm throwing to so-and-so now, I need to put it here. That sounds like a process.
Yeah, it definitely is. You can't just hop in and go play in a game with some receivers you don't know. That's not going to work. It takes time, and that's over the summer and, week to week, different things, different concepts. And so, for example, some guys are faster than other guys. That's just is how it is. So
right.
If I'm throwing a deep ball to one guy that can fly, I'm going to have to let it go a little bit earlier than a guy who maybe isn't as fast. One guy might be a big body receiver who, isn't going to be running a 4.3, so I can wait a little bit, or, it might be more of a jump ball, back shoulder type deal. So those are things you learn throughout the summer.
Yeah.
You learn, different cuts. There's a speed cut, there's a square cut, there's a, work at the top type cut. And so you work together with that. Some guys like to do one thing, but the play is going to require them to do something else. So you work through that. You let guys know when the ball is going to be coming to them. Sometimes it's right out of the break. Sometimes they're the last option on the progression. So you can work a little bit more at the top of your route or throughout your route. There's a ton of details that go into it that people don't really know on the outside, but those are the things that you have to kind of fine tune and just communicate with your receivers, the receiver communicating with you as a quarterback on certain things. And so it's kind of just a conversation that you have throughout the summer and then throughout the season too.
Yeah. And I'm sure those conversations are super detailed, and I'm sure everybody's on the same page. That talking to some of your teammates that have been at Auburn for a while, it seems like this group of guys that Hugh Freeze has assembled, they all seem to be on the same page and really, really want the same thing, and not just kind of walking out and saying, hey, we want to go 12-0, but it seems to be a different vibe with you guys and what's going on in the locker room. Is that something that you've picked up and noticed?
Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear, but for me, to be honest, I don't really know what the last
I understand. Yeah, that's fair.
season was like and stuff like that. I've heard from guys about what last season was like and stuff like that, but obviously I wasn't in it, so I don't really totally know. I can't give a super good perspective on that, but yeah, I mean, I know the guys are excited. I know they're really excited about Coach Freeze and all the new coaches and new staff that are here and the new offense. I know they're excited about that, and that's been something I've definitely picked up on while I've been here.
We'll continue our conversation with Payton in just a moment, but got to tell you about our friends at Bird Dogs. They are the most comfortable pair of shorts ever created. I'm wearing them right now. They make you look good. They've got that Bird Dog stretch khaki short design. They fit slimmer through the thigh. They give you that sculpted look. And there are so many different ways or places, I should say, that you can wear Bird Dogs. They're extremely versatile. You can wear them anywhere. And sometimes you forget how nice you look and you just get complimented all the time, folks. I'm not joking. So seriously, though, check them out. They're very versatile. You can work out in them. You can, I don't know, do anything you want in these Bird Dog shorts. So head over to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege and enter promo code LockedOnCollege for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That promo code is LockedOnCollege, all one word. And seriously, I think the biggest compliment I can give these shorts is my wife loves them. So once again, head over to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege and use that promo code LockedOnCollege. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. Payton, when you look at this leadership, the role that kind of naturally comes with being a quarterback, what's that been like in regards to trying to build bonds and connections with as many people as possible? I mean, obviously a lot of guys play college football and are on a college football roster. And I'm sure you've got to spend more time with your receivers and your tight ends and your running backs and your offensive line because that's the nature of it. But as far as you just kind of extending that reach of being the leader that you were previously at your previous stop and now here at Auburn, how much time are you putting into that?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Getting here later than normal is definitely, you try to speed up that process. And, the first step is kind of just learning everybody's name. When you're walking through the halls, you don't want to walk past somebody and not know their name, so trying to learn everybody's name as quick as possible, whether that be players, or just support staff too.
Sure.
So all that, you try to learn as quick as possible. But then the first step is like relationships. You can't go in and try to, get on somebody if you don't know them. If you try to yell at somebody or, try to challenge somebody or something like that, and you don't know anything about them or you don't even know their name, nobody's going to respond very well to that. So
totally.
For me, just trying to build relationships and real relationships, not just fake, relationships to try to make it seem like you're, a good guy or something. I don't know. But just trying to get to know these guys, trying to get to know what they like to do outside of football and hanging out, because obviously I'm new. I don't know the area too well. So just kind of learning about guys, learning about their family, learning about where they're from, and just hanging out. And so that's a good part of the summer is you got time to hang out, just chill sometimes and get to know guys. So I said that's a big part of it. And then everything goes from there. And so that'll definitely be building as time goes on. But first and foremost, just getting comfortable with the guys and getting to know guys and building relationships.
Sure. So, I mean, it's impossible for you to fully answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. As far as what you're expecting, you've got several years under your belt playing in the Big Ten. Now the SEC, how big of a difference do you expect that to be?
Yeah, I definitely expect it to be different. Down here in the South, people love football, and they love football more than they do, back up, in kind of Big Ten country where I grew up.
Sure.
The Big Ten loves football too, but Michigan State, they love football too, and but it's different down here. Everybody loves football and they love Saturdays. It's a huge event. People plan their schedules around the football season. It's a big deal, and so it's definitely different. And I'd be dumb to tell you that it's not. And so I know it's different, and I'm excited about that. I'm really excited to be down here and and get to learn more about it. My whole life I grew up watching SEC football along with Big Ten football, being where I'm from. But, I remember watching the SEC on CBS when I was like 5 years old on my, on trips with my dad to go watch him play or his team play and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to see everything that comes with it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, at Michigan State, you guys had two huge rivals with Ohio State and Michigan, two teams that are consistently in the college football playoff up to this point. And so now you come to a school whose biggest rivals are also consistently in the college football playoff with Alabama and Georgia. So, I mean, it's very clear that you have no issue going up against the best programs throughout the country. Is that something that's exciting to you when you look at it and say, I'm really going to get to go against the best every single year as long as I'm at Auburn?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. That's the competition down here is the best. I feel like in the Big Ten East, I felt for a while, and before I was even there, that's, the second best division in football. And now, I feel like I'm playing, or I know I'm playing in the best division of football. And so, getting to play this competition is really exciting, and just getting to compete with my teammates, day in and day out too, is really exciting. And getting to see new players and new athletes, it's going to be really fun, and getting to challenge those guys, and obviously them challenge me, is going to be great. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the competition down here and the great teams that we're going to play against.
Everybody always wants me to ask when I get players on what their favorite restaurant is in town. I know you haven't been here long, but have you had any positive experiences so far? You've been like, what, I could definitely eat here again.
Yeah. Like you said, I haven't been many places at all.
Sure.
But my first week down here, I went to Moe's Barbecue. I'm pretty sure I know it's called Moe's. I think it's called
Moe's Barbecue. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they treat us really nice over there, and the food was great. So
sure.
So far that's probably my number one spot so far. That was
spot.
Really good.
That's a good spot. That's one of my wife's favorites for sure. So we go there a good bit. That's great. I've heard you're really into golf. How's your golf game? If you weren't a quarterback, would you be a golfer?
I don't think so. I don't think I could say I'd be a golfer. I'm definitely not good enough to be playing any type of serious golf. But I say my number 2 sport was probably baseball growing up, and I was basketball. But I love golf. Yeah, I love golf. I haven't been playing nearly as much down here as I did, say, last summer. Sure. And that's really just kind of the circumstances. I'm at the facility, most of the day, and then, trying to learn everything, take care of my body, all that. So the priorities are definitely different right now. So I haven't been playing as much, but I think my handicap right now is like a 6 point something. I finished last year a little bit lower than that, but I have not
bad.
I've been very up and down this year, to say the least. So I don't know what golfer I'm going to be day to day right now.
Sure. I get it. What are your expectations in regards to, seeing a very excited, very lit up Jordan-Hare Stadium this year? I mean, you get to play Georgia at home, you get to play Alabama at home, both of the Mississippi schools at home. I mean, there's going to be some really, really electric environments that you're going to get to play in this year.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Everything I've heard is great things. People, I've had many people tell me that this is the loudest stadium in the SEC. And so, I can't wait to see it rocking and just to feel what it's like. And so I can't wait. I've heard nothing but great things about this environment and our fans, and I'm excited to get to meet them soon.
Yeah. Payton, thank you so much for your time, man. I won't keep you any longer. Really, really appreciate it. And best of luck this summer and fall, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Great stuff from Payton. I want to chime in on some of the things that he said in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. I want to encourage you to join the Locked On Auburn Discord. It is free. All you have to do is click the link in the episode description down below. There's a few things that I really, really liked about what he said, and I guess how he said it. You can definitely tell he's still taking in a lot of information because there's a lot of information to take in, but also how genuine he's being or appears to be with all of the relationships that he talked about building throughout this locker room. And I love that he even highlighted like the support staff as well, because there's so many different guys and gals that really allow a football program like Auburn in the SEC to run. And so he sees the importance of that and importance of everybody. I loved his comment about how you don't want to walk past somebody in the hall and not know their name. And so I think that was really, really cool. I also loved his comment about, the differences in the offenses, or lack thereof, rather, because that's something that I was a little interested in, because it looks different. Like Hugh Freeze's offense looks different, but I'm sure there's a lot of crossover between what he's going to do at Auburn this year and what he did at Michigan State over the last few seasons. And I mean, he's right. Look, we all call everything an RPO these days, like everything, which is kind of funny. And so I love that he kind of called that out and said, not everything's an RPO. Sometimes it just looks like it, but that's not necessarily, what all goes into that. And so I loved that he highlighted that. But I think the biggest thing that stood out, I think, across the entire interview was how detailed he is when talking about really anything. I mean, as far as studying the playbook, or what all he liked about Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery's offense, or really just kind of the process in general in the transfer portal. And I mean, even breaking down that his favorite wings were from Moe's. I mean, he just seems to be extremely detailed, and he's thinking about the things that he's saying. I mean, like even the handicap question in regards to golf, like I didn't ask for that. I just asked, if he liked golf and if he'd be a golfer if he wasn't a quarterback. And so the ability to give extra details shows me that he, one, pays attention to details, but I think he cares about the process of things. And that's something that I've heard from some of his teammates that have only been around him for a short amount of time. And it stood out to me in our conversation today. This is our first time ever chatting. And so that's what you want in a quarterback, right? Because, I mean, especially a guy that's going to come in a little bit later in the process, the whole, every little detail matters. Like him talking about the next step of him learning the playbook was being able to draw out every single play instead of just kind of knowing what's on the piece of paper, but actually be able to orchestrate it and kind of put it on, either pen to paper, marker to dry erase board, or whatever it may be. I love that process. And I think that attention to detail is something that any successful quarterback needs, especially with how late he's come into the process. And so he's going to have to hit the ground running in fall camp, because look, I mean, let's just be honest here. He's going to have to win the job from Robbie, who's been on campus, different system, but he's still got to learn the system in spring as much as you can learn an offense in one spring session. So I just think the way that he carried himself was impressive. And we've kind of talked about that over the last few weeks throughout the show, where his personality has really kind of allowed him to do all of that. But all in all, I really enjoyed everything that Payton shared with us on the show today. If you liked it, please click that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it, as we are over 11,000 subscribers and we are still climbing. Really, really appreciate that. And we're going to have breakdowns of Thorne and some of the things that he said, as well as other things happening over at auburndaily.com. That is our website where you can find all of my written work. And look, we've got recruiting content coming. There was certainly some recruiting news that happened yesterday, but I really wanted to get this interview out with Bryce Cain committing to the Auburn Tigers. We will talk about him tomorrow, as well as react to Auburn's 2024 scheduled opponents, rather, that will appear. We will learn those Wednesday night as well. So Daryl and I will react to all the recruiting news and Auburn future opponent news on tomorrow's show. Once again, appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen. And we will see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.